the Advancement of Colored People, or NAACP, No Greater Love, and the Housing Task Force. Ms. Robinson also assists members of her community with voter registration. And I think it was in 2018, you were the Volunteer of the Year. So thank you so much for being with us this evening, Ms. Robinson. Okay, Miranda, can we mute your machine? I think that's where I'm getting the kickback from. Well, turn it down at least. All right, next up from our business community, we have Mr. Bruce Howard of Bruce Howard Contracting. I need this bio. He is joining us this evening. His lovely wife had a schedule conflict, but we're excited that he's here joining us from Bruce Howard Contracting. Born in 1964 and raised in Charles City County, graduated from New Kent High School in 1983, and married lifetime resident of Charles City County, Betty Harry, in 1986. I did not know that. He moved all the way to New Kent County in 1990, where his son Bruce Jr. was born. In 1998, he became a founding partner in Bruce Howard Contracting Incorporated. And in 2012, he moved his business to Charles City County and then moved personally back to Charles City in 2014. So life has come full circle for you, right, Bruce? Started where you came from. And our last individual from our faith based community is Reverend Helen Randall from Elam Baptist Church. Reverend Randall is a native of Essex County, Virginia. She is the fifth child from born to the late George S. and Helen Davis Washington. In 1979, she graduated Essex High School and graduated from Hampton University in May of 1984 with a BSN in nursing with honors. She has worked with her husband at Ephesus Baptist Church in whatever capacity was needed. And in 2017, she couldn't resist but coming over to Charles City. With much prayer and the approval of her husband, she served as an interim pastor for Elam Baptist Church in Charles City County. And in 2018, she was installed as the 16th pastor of Elam Baptist Church, but also the first female pastor in the 208-year history of the church in Ruthville, Virginia. In May of 2019, Reverend Randall became the doctor. Dr. Reverend Randall with a doctorate of theology from the North Carolina Theological Seminary in Clinton, North Carolina. Her motto is found in Philippians 3:13 through 14 to press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. She truly believes that everything that happened to me that was good, God did it. So thank you guys so much for being here this evening. I am so privileged to have you share this tea time with the county administrator. And so we're going to just ask you a couple of questions as we're moving forward. And so I think Miranda, who you're unmuting. Okay, so this is really informal, but we're going to get through it, right? So we're going to ask you a couple of questions, and then we'll start with Miss Robinson, and then Bruce, and then Reverend Randall, and then it's the same question, and just have a conversation, okay? So the first thing I wanted to do, I've read your bios, but tell us a little bit about yourself as an influential member of the Charles City community, and tell us what you do and what you like to do here in Charles City. Miss Robinson.
with the electoral board, and I get out to vote registrations and absentee votes. That you name it, I go for it. Yeah. And I like to deal with the elderly, especially when they can't go themselves. So then, therefore, I'm their focus. I get the absentee votes for them, absentee ballots for them, and get them back in. That all they'll have to do is wait for the mailman and then get them turned back in. those that can't get it done by themselves, of course, they call me and I go running again, which I don't mind. But that's my main uh, objects here is to try to benefit the community and our children is my special.
And Mr. Howard, if you tell us a little bit more about yourself that we didn't know in the bio. Um, and what about Charles City that you love and would you like to do? I think is he unmuted? Wait a minute, Bruce. I couldn't hear him.
I'm on mute here too.
Oh, so unmuted.
So, okay. All right. Can you hear me, Michelle? Okay.
I can.
Okay.
And we can't see Bruce. I don't know. Technical difficulties. We can hear him now,
Okay.
but we can't see.
Well, here it is. Once again, I'm a technical difficulty. Um, my parents were, I think, very involved and instrumental in a lot of things that happened in Charles City County in their lifetime. And I think that both of them were extremely giving, loving, caring people. They came to Charles City and loved everyone that they met here, cared for everyone that they met, and just wanted to make it a great place for everybody. And it is truly the greatest place in the world, in my mind, to live. My wife is from here. I couldn't have asked for anything better than to have met and married her. We didn't know each other until we were older kids, but we know that we had gone to churches together and Bible schools and done things, but we just never really met until we were adults.
Mm-hmm.
And but Charles City is just one of those places you can't find any more genuine and loving people. Um, and it's a welcoming place to come. You can walk into any store, walk into any uh, body shop, garage, anywhere that anybody's doing anything, or up and down the road, and you're always going to see somebody you know. You're always going to see a smiling face, and you're always going to see somebody that's going to be willing to help.
Dr. Sharon.
Um, when our business started to grow and flourish, and we had the opportunity to start working outside of Charles City County and New Kent County, I was, they were saying, okay, we want you to go to Northern Virginia or we want you to go down to North Carolina. And I was just, why would I want to go somewhere where if something happens, I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
know somebody that's going to come by within 15 minutes
Right.
going to help? So I think that's one of the things that my wife and I have tried to do with and through our business is to have the door open to uh, young men and women in the community and older men and women in the community that are looking for a place to work, a good, stable environment for work, um, a good, loving family of people to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's true to the community. If there's
Yeah.
something the community needs, we like to be able to be called on to help. But a lot of times it's the things that you do that nobody knows about that are the most important.
Right. Okay.
So
Well, thank you so much. So, Reverend Randall, just like everyone else, tell us a little bit more about yourself that we didn't know, and as an influential member of the community. And what do you like to do for Charles City? Why did you journey from Essex County into Charles City? Unmute you. Okay. Okay, let's wait because someone says we can't hear her. Did you unmute her? Let's see. These things, I tell you, it's tricky, but we'll get there. All right,
Okay,
we're gonna have to
let's.
start over. There we go. Now we got it.
All right. So again, as I was saying, I am a native of Essex County, which
Mhm.
is a small little community, very much like Charles City.
Okay.
And I came this way by way of Williamsburg, as I was saying, because I married a gentleman from what we called at that time New Kent County.
Okay.
And I ended up hanging out over here in Williamsburg. He pastored a church up in New Kent, West
Mhm.
Point area. And I kind of journeyed around with him for several years. I was actually with him in ministry for
Okay.
20 some years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um, so he decided to launch me out into the deep, uh, uh, ordained me and all this, that, and the other. So I got to go around to several places. I've been around the area quite a bit, and I came over here to Elam just on a premise that I was going to help him out over here for a little while as an interim.
Mhm.
And I enjoyed my stay as an interim, and seemingly we ended up enjoying each other so much
Mhm.
that I ended up staying over here in Charles City.
Okay.
Of course, I shepherd a flock of folks that God has entrusted to my care.
Mhm.
And in so doing that, I make myself available to them
Mhm.
for whatever situation may come up, be it in the community, within the church, or what have you.
Mhm.
Um, I feel that Charles City is a nice county. It's a nice little area. There's some things I'm sure that we could improve on, as we could anywhere. But I think we're moving in the right direction to get some input and get some, a forethought from some others as to what, needs to be done and what can be done.
Mhm.
My members love Charles City. They
Oh yeah.
love Charles City. Most of them are born and raised right here in Charles City. And I'm excited about some of the things that we're doing. We've already started out. We've done some things with the Charles City school system. We've done some things with uh, the food bank. We've done quite a few things
Mhm.
to assist the county or to do things. And of course, Sister Michelle, I've always told you, whatever you need me to do, just call me. And
That's
she
right,
does
and
not,
that's why I called you tonight.
she makes no bones
You.
about calling me, but I am for improvement in the community. My heart is with the people. I have a particular heart for the younger generation here in Charles City County. And
Mhm.
I believe there's a lot that we need to do to get them
Mhm.
up
Oh yeah.
to par so that they can compete,
That's right.
in the world.
That's right. Well,
And
thank you
I
so
do
much.
have a twin sister too. I might as well say that. So in
You do?
case you see somebody that looks like me walking around,
Oh wow, I did not
a
know
twin
that. I
sister.
learned something new
Didn't think you knew that.
tonight. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm really, really appreciative. And since the COVID-19 crisis began and this whole pandemic, it has really been life changing. Like life has really just slowed down. I mean, I thought in March when you were seeing all of the newscasts and all the information, I'm like, oh, it's gonna last about a week or two. Never thought that here we are now, and that this pandemic is still going on, and so it's been difficult to say the least. But and I know if you're like me, you've never seen anything like this in your lifetime, right?
Mhm.
I mean, you've seen like outbreaks of certain, diseases, but nothing this length of time that shut the whole country down to this magnitude. But what has been the biggest lesson for you during COVID-19, and how has the way you serve the community changed in the past several months, Miss Robinson?
Staying at home and not being able to attend meetings,
Right.
which I love because
Mhm.
I like that. My children tell me I'm nosy, but but I think it's a good nosy because if you don't attend the meetings, you don't know what's going on.
Right.
And when you do get it, it might be half of what went on.
Mhm.
So therefore, I pushes myself and go to meetings that I can know for self, not get a hearsay what's going on.
Mhm.
That's one of the things. And then I'm not a person to stay in the house. I like moving. And when they locked me in, it was like I'm out of my head. I can't do it. But so far, I made it,
Mhm.
and look like I'm gonna continue to make it because
Mhm.
nothing has really loosened up
Mhm.
to go back to the way we were, and I don't
Right.
think we'll ever get back there.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So that's what has happened to me thus far.
And I think that, everybody says this is the new normal.
It is.
Is it really normal? Did we ever have a normal? It's just the way of life. Wearing the mask in the store and you keep hand sanitizing your car. Whoever thought that everybody would have to be, a germaphobe? So it has definitely been a challenge to say the least. What about you, Bruce? What have you learned from this whole pandemic, and how has it changed the way you operate in the community? I think we can't. We gotta.
Okay. I think one of the biggest things that in my mind has happened is that um, I've always thought that I was a problem solver,
Mhm.
but I've had to become much more of a listener
Mhm.
because so many people are so concerned about it and have such a fear,
Mhm.
and it's not just, oh, it's your wife, or it's somebody at the office. It's guys at work,
Mhm.
and just everybody you talk to on the phone. And because you can't go to meetings, you can't see people, you're talking to everybody on the phone, and most of the conversation time that's taken up is just listening to their fears and concerns. And then the other people that you run into that say, oh, I'm not worried about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And well, maybe you're not worried about it, but I am. So be cautious for me.
Right.
Um, and honestly, growing up in Charles City, there were a lot of simpler times, and you did look forward, like you said, to going to church,
Mhm.
because that's when you saw people and you had your social interactions, and
Mhm.
that was the focal point. And then there were ball games at the school, or different things that happened. So you know, with no schools and no ball games and no church, this new normal stinks.
Yeah. To
You
say
know,
the least.
it's nice to have the home time, to be able to really go home from work and say, okay, I don't have all these meetings and things to run to, and you know, I don't have to take kids to the ball games. I don't have to go to all these places. That's been in some ways good, but the social interaction, and I can see that people are starting to really wear thin on the fact that
Mhm.
they have needed good, positive reinforcement and being able to be around people that are glad to be out and about. And even though it's different and we're wearing masks and we're wearing gloves and doing the hand sanitizer thing, we're at least able to be together,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
to listen and actually talk face to face is so much nicer than to have to Skype and do all the different things.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Reverend Randall? What has been the biggest lesson? I know you're in the healthcare industry, so you hit your mic, Reverend Randall. So I know that you see it firsthand by being in the hospital, and caring for people. So what has been the biggest lesson for you, and how you change how you serve Charles City? I mean, seeing that environment and then coming back and pastoring. What has changed for you? I know you guys have been doing Zoom church and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit about that experience.
Well, I think I was listening to what he was saying over here beside me, and a lot of it, I think I have really learned that the church, and not just the church, the job, all of those things are, the church is a building. It's really just a building. It is
Mhm.
actually the people that make up that church.
Mhm.
A lot of people have gotten so afraid. They're so paranoid,
Mhm.
even in the midst of the pandemic. I see
Mhm.
this on the healthcare side as well as on the church side. And as a minister, I've had to learn to try to get them to turn that fear. And we consider fear false evidence
Mhm.
that appears real, to
Mhm.
turn that fear into faith.
Mhm.
to have the faith to be able to move forward
Mhm.
through all of this that we're going through. And it's a lot,
Mhm.
even for me. I didn't really think that at first when it started off, of course, everybody was like, yay, and I'm like, hey, I can do the sermon in my house coat and be on Zoom and enjoy this. But after a while, that got to be boring.
Mhm.
We are human beings and we were meant to be social. We are
Mhm.
social beings.
Mhm.
The fact that we're not able to do that causes a lot of trauma to a
Mhm.
lot of us. So, of course, we are seeing increases when it comes to mental health
Oh
right now.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of mental health issues of people who are not used to being alone.
Mhm.
Then you have those persons who are really alone, those who are single or married or the widowed who are living alone,
Mhm.
and they find themselves there's no one in the house to talk to.
Mhm.
And we've isolated them with this pandemic. When we closed down and shut down everything, those were the people who were hurting, I think, the most.
Mhm.
Those of us who had some people at least in the house with us, we could go to them and say this, that, or the other. One of the biggest things that happened to me was I just about ate myself to death because my husband was cooking every 2 minutes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm not used to this kind of, all of
Mhm.
this. But I have learned that we have to deal with people are people. We are
Mhm.
human beings. We need the socialization. Uh, I love my young people now. I love my young people now because there are a lot of things that they can do to help us. And when I say us, I'm talking about those of us that are 60 and above
Mhm.
to know how to use all of this social media,
And technology.
all of this technology. There is so much technology. I never thought I would be sitting in front of a Zoom meeting, doing, and that's what we do. All of my church meetings now are Zoom or
Mhm.
WebEx, or we have all kinds of means of doing things. The telephone for your older people, of course, it's the telephone. It's
Mhm.
funny because we were even having services, and it was so funny because we couldn't. We were trying to explain to some of our older members how to mute the phone. And I'm sitting here on the other line trying to talk or do a sermon, and I hear all of this, talking in the background. Yesterday was funny. One of the guys was baking chicken in the oven. He was talking about the baked chicken in the oven while the guy was talking, and somebody said, "Mute your line, mute your line." What is that? It's the little microphone with the line. So
Mhm.
we are really learning a lot. And the
Mhm.
greatest lesson for me, I think, is the fact that I have to remember that we are social beings. We need contact, we need touch, we need love, we need to touch. Okay, and then I
Mhm.
have really learned that our young people are going to be the ones that's going to keep us up,
Lift it up.
rising, and moving because they are enthusiastic. They're able to do stuff that we never even dreamed of doing. But this is their norm. We
Mhm.
call it our new norm, but this
Yeah.
has been their norm for some time.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can tell you, church will never be the same again. It's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
I have gotten to the point now. I love my Zoom meetings.
Mhm.
On Zoom, I'm on the line and I can see folks. They can see me, but you
Mhm.
don't get all of the extra attitude and stuff that goes along with meetings
Right. Right.
because I'm on the on the line. So
Yeah.
it's lessons I think that all of us can learn. But I think the biggest is the fact that we are social beings. We need touch. Our young people are our greatest asset. A
Mhm.
lot of times we try to put them on the back burner
Yeah.
and say, sit down, don't do this. But I'm telling you, if we didn't have them right now, a
Yeah.
lot
We'd
of
be in a
us
world of trouble.
we'd be in a world of trouble.
Yeah.
World
And
of
I think
trouble.
the biggest thing, I mean, the biggest takeaway from what you said is that, the church it's a building. We are the church, right? So you don't have to go to that building to do, the work. And so that's important. Um, so talk to me a little about in your daily work, you working with citizens, doing voting registration, citizens who you work with, and then in your congregation. What are some of the concerns for the county that rise to the top for you? And then in your opinion, what can we do to change that? Whatever situations or what's going on in our community that come to mind to you that we can work together better to move Charles City forward.
One of the things that I get a lot from the folk that I'm around.
I don't think
uh,
I'm sorry, Miss Reverend. I can't hear her. Can you guys hear her? Okay, maybe it's just my phone microphone. It's okay. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Um, One thing that a lot of people have talked to me about was their concern as far as the county, where are the county going now? But their main uh, talk is our children. They feel that the children aren't getting what they need in school, and they they said they have heard of a lot of children, parents taking them out, send them elsewhere, and I told them that maybe they are, and I know some of them are doing it, but if we stand still and try and correct what's here, not to send our children somewhere else that we think is up to par. All schools are having problems.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when we move them from here, then we're just getting in the problem along with what they had there.
Mhm.
I feel that I don't believe in running from something, running to it and see if we can correct it.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping that with us in another new venue, that we will be moving forward.
Mhm.
I know they said don't look back, but if you don't look back and see the pitfalls and the downfalls that we have had, how are we going to go forward and see, look, we fell in this hole before,
Mhm.
so we're going to tunnel over this pitfall. And that's the only way we can make progress.
Mhm.
Looking back, not falling in the same hole, but pushing on,
Mhm.
that we can move the county forward as far as our children are concerned.
Mhm. I know that of course, the internet is going to be a big concern as we look at
Hmm.
the school year that's coming up, and so the staff and board of supervisors and I are still working diligently. I was in a meeting today about our wireless component of internet, and so we're hopeful that Comcast is gearing up the construction of, and again, it's going to take some time because it's 142 miles of construction of fiber. However, the process is getting ready to start, and won't have everybody connected by the time school starts, but people, the citizens will start to see a progress. So
Hmm.
I do agree that we need to do everything we can to move the county forward with our students because they are our future, right? And they're the ones that's going to take care of us at some point in some time.
And that's what has happened since school has been out. Some of the kids have been able to connect with
Mhm.
the internet, and some hasn't.
Mhm.
And of course, those children that could not, because we'd have no internet, they will be behind those that does have internet.
Mhm.
So it's been a trial time, the summer, during the summer, of them being out,
Mhm.
and the only thing they can do paperwork as far as getting their homework. All work that was done on computer, the children who had internet, well, they furthered their education. But
Mhm.
those that didn't have internet, that means that they are standing still.
Mhm.
So I'm glad to hear you say
Yeah.
that hopefully by school, when we do go back, uh, they will be able to at least try and catch up.
Mhm.
But it's hard to catch up what has been lost.
Yeah, and of course we won't be able to have all of the county done by
Hmm.
September, but the process will have started, and our wireless component will have started by that time. So, it's not just Charles City County; it's all of rural Virginia, rural America.
Hmm.
We have been doing Zoom calls with our rural caucus of Virginia, and all of us are saying, how are we going to educate our students here, in Southwest Virginia or in other parts of the count of the Commonwealth. So it's
Hmm.
been a challenge, and COVID has just shined a brighter light on it. So thank you.
Right.
So
Hmm.
Bruce, what can you tell you? What comes to mind for you when you think of Charles City and the need that you see? He needs to unmute. The needs that you see. What rises to the top of your mind, and how we can work better to move Charles City forward?
Well, as the pandemic hit, one of the things that, so many of the people that work for me were afraid of the virus, but they were more afraid of the possibility of not having an income.
Mhm.
What happens if I can't go to work? How am I going to feed my family? What am I going to do? Um, and we were very fortunate to be a vital service. The type of business that we're in, but we looked around and Charles City doesn't have a ton of businesses, but there were a lot of them that were hurting.
Mhm.
They were shut down. They didn't have incomes, and their people were being laid off and having to be sent home, and that's a very scary situation to be in. So, as things have, we were able to try and reach out and help other businesses and trying to do things, making sure that our employees were safe when they were going out, and they had all the supplies they need. They had the safety things that they needed. You know, um, you know, all of our guys have to have what we call PPEs.
Mhm.
Now standard PPE is a mask, and you have to have it on. Anytime you're in a vehicle or a building, if you're working with somebody and you're less than 6 feet apart, you've got to have a mask on.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. It makes the days hotter. Well, we've had dust masks that we've worn in the past because of the situations we were in, but all of those things, and trying to make sure that the employees are safe and that the other people are safe have been, that's the biggest thing to me when I ride up and down the roads and I see people not practicing the things that you know are the most needed. That's what I fear.
Mhm.
Is that where's we're everybody's doing such a good job of trying to get the information out there. Why aren't why is not everyone following
Mhm.
that mandate and that rule? And I know I'm kind of one of these guys. I don't always like the rules, but sometimes they're better for you. And that's one of the scary things now is as we're seeing the numbers start to go back up.
Mhm.
Was it carelessness? Was it recklessness? Is it just the nature of what we're dealing with?
Mhm.
But what's going to happen? What's going to happen to the businesses again who've just been able to come back and go back to work,
Mhm.
and they say, okay, you can't work anymore. You've got to shut down.
Mhm.
That's really scary for me because I don't want to see my neighbors and friends not have
Yeah.
jobs and not be able to support themselves.
Yeah. And it's hard to see the numbers. Of course, there's a lot of information that I receive as county administrator. And the report that I got last week, we have 263 Charles City County residents who are receiving unemployment at this time. And, we're a community of 7,000 people, and to have such a large number, of individuals who aren't working right now, that's hard. And so hopefully as we're moving Charles City forward, we can create more opportunity for our citizens. But it's funny because everybody had to, I never even knew what PPE was until this pandemic. And you know yeah, and so the sheriff's department and the fire department was like, "Oh, we've been saying that for years." I'm like, "Well, I never heard it. I've never been in the industry that I needed PPE." But I think during this time, it's like you've learned a lot, right? And so I think we're just looking, it's helped shine a light on more opportunity, for the local economy. And I thank God for the Dollar General has been a lifesaver for this community because people have been able to just go there. I mean, they were out of a lot of stuff for a long time. So hopefully more things like that to come. So Reverend Randall, for you, what comes to the top of your mind when you think about, some of the concerns in the community and what we can do better to move the county forward?
I'm going to kind of piggyback on a couple of things that have already been said that I'm hearing a lot of within the church and from my membership and from some of the others in the community. The school system is a big piece, a very big piece. We had another meeting the other night, and it was actually brought up about the school system during the winter months, how cold it is. And I said, it's hard enough to learn, but to have to be in the cold and learn, it just seems like if even if there are not funds, can we not redirect some funds somewhere to help these kids so that they can sit in school at least comfortably?
Mhm.
And then the internet is a big piece for me. It's a
Mhm.
big piece. I'm concerned for them, not just for right now. And I am concerned about them right now because a lot of them can't. can't get their lessons. They can't do certain things. But if we look down the road, these children are going to have to compete
Mhm.
for college and everything else.
Mhm.
And that internet is a big piece of it. Now, I'm glad to hear you say
Mhm.
that they're at least working on that,
Mhm.
and they're going to try to get that up and running. I think that's going to be an asset,
Mhm.
and that will be a big improvement for the county just to get that. I know even at the church where I am right now, if I have someone who comes in with their iPad or computer and they want to do their sermon from the podium, I have to make sure I got a mobile hotspot somewhere
Mhm.
so that
Mhm.
they can proceed and do what they need to do. And
Mhm.
I really think that's a biggie for me,
Mhm.
the internet. Um, and then business, business. In order to attract people, we got to get some things to come to the county. We have to make ourselves look good enough and interesting enough that
Mhm.
somebody wants to come in and invest. And yeah, it may be a chain of some sort, Dollar General, as you said. Thank God for Dollar General. When they got Dollar General, everybody was excited because it was a store in the county that everybody
Mhm.
could,
Mhm.
go to. But I mean, a grocery store, something even of interest to the young folks.
Mhm.
We have to do something to help the economy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can't build your economy if there's nothing here.
Mhm.
We have to attract folks. It's sad because I've seen this happen in the King William area where I've been with my husband for several years. They have a mill there. Okay, if you don't work at the mill, it's really not much of anything else to do in King William.
Oh wow.
But I do thank God that now they are actually. We have a grocery store. We got a Family Dollar. We got the Pizza Hut. We've got several things that are actually coming to the area,
Mhm.
giving some job security to some of the folks because it's tough.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
tough. I think the medical field is one of the only fields that just kept on moving. And
Mhm.
even on the medical front where I am in the OR, we shut down the ORs for a point in time, and
Oh
people were
wow.
very excited because we were looking for the big verge of folks who were going to come in with this COVID positive, and we did have a verge of folks that came in.
Mhm.
So for I don't know, a month or even better, we had people who were working 2 hours a week that had been used to working a 40-hour week.
Oh wow.
Thank God the company soon wised up and said, you know what, we better pay some hazard pay or do
Mhm.
something because these folks are all going to leave and go elsewhere. Now, the good thing with me was I put my other hat on. I went over to the chaplaincy office and I was helping out the chaplain. So I didn't miss a beat. And I thank God
Mhm.
for that. But you got to people when it comes to money, to jobs, to being able to take care of yourself. I
Mhm.
mean, it's a must. And I think in order for us to here in Charles City to attract people, we've got to get some businesses or something in here that's going to help
Right.
the community,
I
help the
definitely agree
community.
with that, and that is something that my staff and I are working on. I know COVID has also shined the light, on Charles City as a food desert,
Right,
right?
and it is. It
We
is.
insecure, and so we're excited that we have emergency food pantry,
Right,
but we're in the process of building a permanent food pantry, and
right,
we're gonna thank Bruce and Betty Howard when the time comes, for when all of that comes to fruition.
right,
They're one of our
right.
business partners in this venture, and so hopefully in the fall we'll be
Mhm.
able to have that grand opening for the food pantry. However, we need a permanent location, a
Right,
permanent
right,
grocery store, right?
right.
And so I'm working with Congressman McKeechin and Delegate McQuinn, who now have legislation in place to help communities that don't have grocery stores.
Right,
And so
right.
I've been on Zoom calls with them for the last couple of weeks, and we're working out that hopefully we can have a more permanent location. We still would need a food pantry to help in the transition and even beyond, because the schools, they receive some USDA money, and they're servicing about 80 to 85 families a day
Hmm.
since COVID-19. And so
Mm.
there's still, a
It's a
need.
need.
Our
It's a great
our
need.
temporary food pantry has serviced about 1,000 people since COVID, and so it's still going on until the end of July, and then we're gonna revisit some things, but hopefully have a permanent location. But the grocery
Mhm.
store is
Mhm.
something that for me is near and dear to my heart. So, unfortunately, those big chain stores, you have to have 25,000 cars to pass
Right.
your location. And so
Mhm.
everybody's like, well, why does New Kent have, you know, three food lines? Well, they have this great road called 64.
64.
So the business models of those box stores like that, you have to have, so many 25,000 or 22,000 calls within a 5 mile radius of the location of the store.
Mhm.
And so unfortunately, we don't have that traffic count. But Delegate McQuinn is definitely aiding in this process. She's, helped manifest some grocery stores in urban areas that were classified food deserts. So I'm excited that we've started that process. So, and I too agree that, the economy here, we need to keep going. And thank God for entities like Bruce Howard Contracting, and Green Rock Materials and Charles City Timber and Mat. Those are some of our heaviest employers, and they are still moving, but there's still a need. And so I'm excited about that. Well, I am excited that you guys came out tonight and answered some questions for us. It's been a delight. Do you guys have any questions for me? Okay.
Thing that I wanted to say that just came to my mind as I was sitting here. Um, I've heard a lot of talk about this gas line or gas system or whatever it's supposed to be actually
Power
coming,
plant.
power plant
Hmm.
that's coming to the community. Uh, from my point on a medical side, I think we have to be careful when we start talking about stuff like power plants because, of course, they're going to get in, but you have to also look at the long-term effects of what it's going to do to your people
Hmm.
in the community. And I've heard much conversation about that. A lot of closed door meetings is what I keep hearing. They're having closed door meetings and what have you. And my thing is, COVID has brought it to the forefront again. I think it would be a wonderful idea if we could have, if they're going to have the board of supervisors meetings or any county administrative meetings,
Hmm.
make it a public meeting. Put it on the Zoom line. Put a
Hmm.
number out there that you can come and join.
Hmm.
That way, you're at least open.
Hmm.
Everything that's done is in the open, and you don't have
Hmm.
to worry about who says, she said, or he say. Because, as you say, if you don't go yourself, you
Right.
just don't know if what you're hearing is correct
Yeah.
or incorrect
Yeah.
or exactly what it is. But I've heard a lot of talk about the gas line and the closed door meetings and things are being done here, there, and there. And I'm just saying, openness. I think if we just put it out there with this COVID, like I said, we've all getting used to the Zoom line and the
Hmm.
WebExes and all that. Put it out there so anybody that wants to be a part of it can hear
Yeah.
and
And
see what's going on.
I appreciate that, and I think, Miss Robinson can attest to that. That was the rumor that we were having all these closed meetings,
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, they were talking.
but they were open because Miss Robinson was at every one of them. And so unfortunately people didn't come out, and then
Okay.
they just said it was closed. And
Hmm.
we came out, and we're doing everything we can to give communication. I'm working hard with a small staff to make sure communication goes out, via social media and the website, but we still have work to do, right? So I'm in the process now of developing an app for Charles City because we had to look at for COVID-19, how can we still effectively communicate? If people don't have internet, they can't get to Facebook or can't get to the website, they have a phone. And so we'll be launching and announcing that in a few months. And so, but yeah, the information, it's out there, and and everybody, we've had a lot of kickback. It's Yeah, yeah. And so all of our meetings are going to be via Zoom. Our Board of Supervisors meeting for July. We are also looking, and we may, not do Zoom for July, but come back into August. We're working on a software now where we can stream. And so, because last meeting we figured out, you people in the audience couldn't hear the people on the call and during public comment period and vice versa. So we have some technical difficulties we have to work out, but I think that we're just opening up, and my goal is to be as transparent as possible. I have nothing to hide, and so we're working hard to that. um, any other questions for me? I think you got to hit your unmute yourself.
There we go. What do you think it's going to take to draw businesses into Charles City County? I mean, the conversation was about the power plant, and there is, a gas line that was supposed to go through Virginia that we don't know if that's going to ever happen either. We're
Mhm.
kind of, yes, I feel like I'm in some ways biased about the power. Um,
Because it's near
but
your facility, right?
well, but I mean, we do a lot of construction for the power industry,
Yeah.
and you know, I looked at the one plant that was coming into Charles City, and it was going to be the cleanest one in the world. And I think that's a great thing to be able to say for Charles City County. And when you look at the pluses and minuses, when we were talking about solar environmentally, that's the gentleman who spoke that evening said, well, with any type of industry, you're going to have waste. But with aside from those things, what is it going to take to get business to come into Charles City County? Because when you talk about, okay, we'd like to have a Pizza Hut, and we'd like to have, a grocery store, and we'd like to have some of these things. What is it going to take to get those cars here? And I think one of the things it takes to get the cars here is businesses.
Mhm. Mhm.
So when people start coming in and working in the community, and we're getting a tax base,
Mhm.
the next thing you know, we're going to have people that are going to say, well, and this is what I don't want, but I'm selfish. They're going to want to move to Charles City.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm going to have to say, I've got to embrace everyone and have new neighbors. And I
Mhm.
love the rural aspect of Charles City County.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but, sometimes I think houses create a tax base that we're not going to get as much from as a business tax base.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So how do we cross that
Well,
bridge?
I think the biggest thing is infrastructure, right? A lot of businesses have wanted to relocate here, but because we didn't have high-speed internet, that was a problem, right? So we have fiber like in the industrial park area, but we still have to, expand that throughout the county. So I know that this partnership with Comcast, 142 miles of our county is only 204 square miles, but 142 miles of that will be covered with the infrastructure. So that's the biggest thing, the component that we need. And then the second thing is water and sewer. And so we are working with, New Kent County to bring water and sewer, over into Charles City to help the industrial area, right? And then also doing some upgrades to our facilities here in the courthouse area. So when you have a community like Charles City, you have to have those plans. So we're working with the Virginia Economic Development Partnership to develop like those plans. So the Board of Supervisors has adopted the 106 Master Plan, which is available online, so you can see where we're forecasting where homes will be, where industry will be, and then they're getting ready to adopt the courthouse plan. So now that we have the plans in place, we just have to have the infrastructure next, and water and sewer is a big component. And then just have someone that's focusing directly on economic development and working with our economic development authority to bring those. So it's a process, and we are really small staff, so we're just working as hard as we can and probably working too much, but we are doing everything that we can to bring those industries, and we have a vision of what we want. Now that we have those plans in place, because that's the first key, they want to know, well, what do you have, what's the zoning, or what are you projecting for houses, and what are you projecting for small business and industrial business. And so we have some of those components in place that our assistant county administrator is working on. So we're getting there. It's just a slow process. And I tell everybody, June 14th, I celebrated 3 years of county administrator. I'm like, guys, I just got here. But we're working on it. What about for you, Miss Robinson? Any questions for me? And Kevin, I see your hand, so just hold on. I'll get to you in a moment. Thank you.
I think I brought all of mine in when I did the question answering.
Okay.
I don't have a day else.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you guys for just answering the questions tonight, and just being a part of this. I'm excited. Like I now know what a talk show host feels like, right? So I'm excited. And so what we're going to do, I'm just going to go over what's coming up in Charles City, talk a little bit about COVID. While she's setting up, I'll go into my COVID spill. We got some numbers today. We do have 41 confirmed cases in Charles City. We have about 31 of those cases that are recovered. So that means they're out of the woods, no quarantine. We do have some individuals that are still hospitalized and being quarantined at this time. And so we want to continue to keep them, in thoughts and prayers. This disease is not over, and that's what we need people to realize. You need to, the best thing is just kind of just minimize your where you have to go and what you have to do, and follow the rules from the CDC. um, when we first started out and I was seeing, the first official case, and then, went up to 3 and then 7, I'm like, oh God, it's still growing. And now to have it at 41 for a population of 7,000, that is huge. And so we're working constantly with VDH to bring back another testing site for the county. And so we're moving forward and just, trying to keep Charles City as healthy as possible. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing, what's coming up next. And so this Friday at 8:30 or about 8:45, we'll see. I think Miranda told me today the sun sets at 8:32. She has it down to the minute, so we hope the Weather Channel is right. We're going to have the 4th of July fireworks. So a lot of communities have canceled this, but I feel like this is a highlight for Charles City, and we're excited that S Power, the solar plant that's coming to Charles City, actually sponsored the fireworks. And so we are going to have fireworks at the Charles City High School parking lot. We have assistance from the sheriff's department and our fire department with parking, but you stay in your car. So last year we had a really, big concert, and we had several hundred people come out. So we scratched the concert, but we still want to do the fireworks. Fireworks are my most favorite thing in the whole wide world. So this Friday, around 8:45 ish, we can't time it. We'll see if Miranda's 8:32 sunset is right. So we want everybody to come out. So in light of the concert series, Mr. Black, our board of supervisors in District 3, said, well, Miss Johnson, we got to do something. So he came up with the idea, let's do movie in the park. And so at Harrison Park on July 17th, on August 21st, and September 18th, starting at 8:45, we'll have popcorn, which Miranda was on the phone ordering popcorn today from Uncle Dave's. Uncle Dave's, I love their kettle corn. Will be our vendor, one of our vendors, and we'll have soul ice for ices, for snacks. But it's stay in your car. You'll be able to tune in through your radio, just like I guess driving movies years ago. I never got to experience driving movies, so I'm excited. This is going to be a fun filled event for the family, so you can bring your kids, your grandkids, and that sort of thing. We talked about the internet earlier, and so S Power again partnered with Charles City County, and just like Bruce Howard Contracting and other entities, they are vested here and they are excited to be a partner of the community. So they funded our wireless on wheels trailers, and so we will be deploying the wireless trailer to Harrison Park, to in District 1, the Chickahominy Tribal Center in District 2, and Mount Zion Baptist Church in District 3. The hours for the trailers will pretty much be from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So individuals can drive up to 20 individuals or 20 devices at one time, correct? And they'll be able to get on the internet. Some people have talked about they need to still work, and don't have internet. So this will give them an opportunity. And so we hopefully will have them all in place by the end of next week, at all locations. And so we'll be sending out a mass notification to the community for that. And so this service is provided by Business over Internet Protocol, or BOIP. And so they are the wireless internet service provider for this project. So we're moving, we're getting there. there because we were thinking, how can we solve this internet problem in the midst of this? And so Power was like, how can we help? And Mr. Coder, really is gun ho about it and spearheaded this project, and we're excited about that. So, because we can't get out, we were planning a litter cleanup for Charles City. So we thought, why not go virtual with Keep Charles City Clean? You can still clean up your community, but you don't have to come in contact with others, right? So on the event date is August 1st. So what we're going to do is have people register, call in, and we're going to mail you your orange bags from VDOT, and get you to clean up your road, or your road in front of your home, or however much, just because I know I live on Lot Carey. And so I'm like, I was walking this morning, I'm like, dang, why do you always throw trash in my yard? So you just clean up basically in front of your home and in your neighborhood to stay safe, and you can still practice social distancing. And when a person registers, I'll call into the county administrator for more options. They will, Miranda and or another staff person will get their information, and they will be mailed out their packet. And then what will happen, they'll pick up their litter and put it in their driveway. We'll have a listing for VDOT, and VDOT will come and pick it up on August 3rd, on that Monday. So we're excited that we can still keep Charles City clean. I know that some people have been complaining about the trash, but this way you can just clean up right in front of your house and right on your road, and we'll come and pick it up. So there's really no excuses this time. Like, I don't want to do it, or it's too, you're just at home, right? So we're maintaining social distancing. Everybody can do this and get involved. And so we are excited that we're going to be able to offer this on August the 1st. So our Virginia virtual neighborhood college, we had planned for this to be a classroom style, but this is an opportunity for citizens to learn about governance. Okay, so our thing is, have you? And a lot of people, I can answer this question. Have you ever felt frustrated about local government and not being engaged? This program is going to be, is it 6 weeks or 8 weeks? 8 weeks. Okay. So 8 weeks virtually, citizens will be able to sign up and for 8 weeks go through Charles City College. Okay. You'll learn all about, each department, learn about the community, some historical facts. We are limiting to 25 participants who are 18 or older, who live or work in Charles City County, are invested in their community. So this is a way, if people say, well, I don't know, I don't understand, this is a way where you can, sign up, and then we'll graduate you at the end of the 8 weeks. And so I'm excited that my assistant county administrator, Ms. Rhonda Russell, is leading these efforts. Other communities have done it and been successful. And so it was one of the visions that I had, so that people, because if you don't know local government or government, if you're like me, history was not my thing in school. History and English, forget it. I just was not ahead of the class. But you put me in math and science, aced it. I was good. So this is an opportunity for people to really understand how we do things, our public hearings, our public meetings, how Robert Rules of Order works, and how each department functions. Because when you, for instance, go to build something, where do I even start? Do I go to community development? Do I start with the building officials? So this is going to walk you through all of Charles City, and actually how we operate, and give some insight onto what's next. So we're moving things along. We're growing Charles City, and it just takes time. Unfortunately, again, 3 years down, and I don't know how many more to go. So I'm going to open the floor up for some questions. Um, let's see. I see that Kevin Sullivan, let me make this larger, had a question. And I don't know. It says allowed to talk. So do I do that, Miranda? Thanks. Me? I do that. Thanks, Kevin, for your patience. So let's see. Can you hear me, Kevin? Unmute.
Can you hear me?
Kevin?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can't hear. I don't know why I can't hear him. Is it my headphones? One moment, Kevin.
Sure, sure. I'm not going anywhere.
We can hear.
Oh. No, I can't even hear you guys anymore. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can
All
hear you
right,
now.
now we're cooking. What's your
Uh,
question? How can I help? How are you this evening?
I'm doing fine. Too hot outside. Besides
Oh,
that,
it's summertime.
I know, but it's a little early. But anyway, uh, I I got in kind of late because it took me a while to get on with the Zoom. I don't know why, but I know you talked about the internet, and I'm just hoping that we'll be able to get some kind of map out to people that will show them who is going to be able to get on the Comcast site,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of questions about whether or not people will have access to that. I've talked to Mr. Coda about the SCS uh, contract and how
Mhm.
we're going to be, you know, continuing to contract with SCS because it's pretty much unavoidable,
Mhm.
because they're pretty much the only game in town
Right.
as far as that goes. And I think we can work that out, because I mean, uh, I have Verizon DSL right now, and that's
Okay.
okay. But it's certainly not the kind of thing that's going to attract business to the county, because
Right.
it's just not fast enough. But
Mhm.
I appreciate you guys working on that, especially the changing the tower system. What you've done on that, that's going to be a
Mhm.
big help.
Yeah, so one of the
What?
things, Kevin, for that, if I could just give you some information, I have a meeting on Wednesday with the contractor for Comcast to get just that information. I can tell you that the construction company that's going to lay the fiber is in town. Um, I have learned that the construction workers are staying over at Rockahawk, and I'm like, why are you guys living in New Kent? But Rivers Rest isn't ready yet, so that's going to be ready in a couple of months. But the construction company is in town. The infrastructure is starting to be delivered today. And so I get the construction schedule on Wednesday and talk about the locations. And so hopefully I'll have more information to deploy out to the community at the July Board of Supervisors meeting. So I was excited. He called and introduced himself, and also the contractor who's going to actually do the construction. And so we will have more information hopefully at the July meeting.
That would be great. Uh, one question I have, that's a little bit different, is that at the last board meeting, which I was unable to attend because of being election day, and my being on the electoral board,
Okay.
is
Okay.
16 hours at the polls is a long day.
Oh wow.
But
Be the county administrator.
it is.
That's the average day for the county administrator.
Well, but it's all in what we can do. But
Hmm.
my question is, there was uh, a the county attorney gave some information to the board which was not necessarily correct, as far as the putting a referendum on the ballot
Hmm.
for removing the Confederate monument.
Hmm.
And what Mr. Boyd said, and I've talked to Mr. Boyd about it, and he's realized now that what he said was not necessarily true, was that there was not enough time for this to be accomplished. And uh, since then, he has realized that there is enough time to be accomplished. Is a referendum uh, is the referendum going to be on the agenda in July
Yes.
for removal of the Confederate monument?
So I saw so I received the emails, I guess between you and Randy, and we do have some more information, and so we are going to put it back on the July Board of Supervisors agenda for more discussion, and then the board will decide how to move forward. I know at the last meeting, it still will stand that they are looking to formalize a committee to aid in this whole process. But but it will be back on the agenda for July for more discussion.
Right, because I'm not saying that it should be taken down. What I'm saying is that I think because of the change of the law on July 1st,
Yes.
that which does allow a referendum, that the
Hmm.
people of the county should be allowed to vote on whether or not it's taken down. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay.
And I will be able to attend the next meeting, but
Okay. Well, we look forward
it's
to your comments.
well, and I'll tell you, I'm sure that if the city council of Richmond would have had the opportunity to go back a year and change the way they dealt with it a year ago, they'd do it in a heartbeat right now because it's caused a lot of pain in Richmond. And I
Right.
really don't want to see that in Charles City. I'd rather see it done properly and the people be able to decide what to do. But I
Okay.
appreciate what you've done and thank you very much for having the meeting. And I'll see you in 4 weeks, I guess. It's July 28th, the next board meeting.
That is correct.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so
much.
much, Kevin. Okay.
Good night.
Good night. So I will open the floor up to any other participants who may have a question. You can wave your hand. There is an icon on your screen, I believe, Miranda. Where is it? Okay, so if you click on your Q&A or the comment at the bottom, you can wave your hand and we will unmute you and take your questions. Are there any participants who have questions at this time? Going once? Going twice? Gone. Who said that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you so much for being on the Zoom call tonight. This is much different than what we've done in the past. And I want to thank also the community leaders for being here with me tonight. It has been a pleasure. I will have to tell the Board of Supervisors I had better company tonight than them. No, I'm joking. But we are excited that you guys joined us into the community leaders. I see there's a number of people on the call. And we're just excited that people are, zoned into Charles City County and what we're doing. We're working hard to move us forward day by day. And so I really, really want to thank you all for this opportunity. And thank you for tea time with the county administrator. We will do this again in another format. And so we're excited to have you guys back and tuned in. So thank you all so much and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.